Number 4 on my list of small vehicles that would allow for new player progress to be easier and also existing players to have better gameplay is going to be the Grey Cat PTV modified to have 4 seats. I feel that 2 seats forward, as it already has, with 2 seats on the back, modeled backwards, so facing to the be behind the seats, behind the vehicle would be greatly helpful. On the front of the vehicle or mounted above their heads could be a weapons rack and slash tool rack. I think this would be a great vehicle if we go into player outposts coming up and other fun things where people may not want to bring an entire Ursa rover or some weaponized crazy cyclone or something, but may want to bring some small arms on their expedition or multi tools that are more specialized things. Remember, there's going to be tractor beams, there's going to be cutting implements, mining tools that are like the mining tool 2.0 that are just specialized in that specific field. So being able to field those, especially with itemization coming in through streaming implements and the upcoming patches past 3.14, this will become more and more important to be able to bring just a few extra things. I could also see them being used as medical slicks, being able to put an injured person in there and maybe the person next to them is literally shooting them with the medical gun over and over again while the driver is racing back to the ship. So these are some of the, or to the outpost. So these are some of the ideas I have for this vehicle. I could definitely see the Grey Cat PTV being strangely and pretty coolly the original ground vehicle, but also becoming the ground vehicle for the new generation progressing up to expand their potential, and also existing players working them outpost, working on ships that can't really fit those larger vehicles or want to fit a lot of vehicles. Like for example, a Taurus could run 2 Ursas. Maybe they could run 6 of these PTVs that we could do, and I would call it the PTV double or the PTV. Call it the PTV quad. How about that? So that was just kind of an off-cuff idea for number 4. I would also mention that I would like to see it have off-road style wheels that are a bit more knobby on them. Maybe give it slightly better terrain resistances that it can really work through, and slightly better shocks if possible. But only if that doesn't increase its development time. Now on to number 3. Number 3 is the ROC-DS. Now hear me out. I know it's an actual vehicle already, but what I want to see is the ROC-DS come into something truly unique that is an ROC 2.0, like a literal progression piece. The development team has stated multiple times that the ROC-DS and the ROC were meant to come in at the same time, but due to production concerns and some other things, the ROC-DS came out way later. And because of its quirks and because they believe in timing, this was all mentioned in the 3.13 postmortem just yesterday. Because of those quirks, it basically was not exactly had the best reception. Now, during Evo and PTU testing, they changed the stats on this thing so it has slightly better range for its laser, and it also has better capacity. It might even be double the storage capacity, which is a good thing. It needs to take it a step further. That station that's outside either needs to go into a double cab, which may or may not be able to be done, or it needs to be able to have oxygen on board and maybe even some minor environmental protections. I think that HUD that comes over the top should put down an air dam over the characters, at least most of the body, and that it would be in the lore as it protects them from the environment to a certain extent or fully, and gives them full oxygen so they can stay out there. And if you can't do all that, at least have an oxygen mask in there that they can pop on, or it clicks into the helmet, or something like that. Figure it out, because I believe this vehicle is a great choice for players that are coming up, and also player outpost and existing players that are looking for a unique new vehicle that will allow them to do more content. And I am one of the few people that notices with this type of vehicle that it has potential. I don't just dismiss it. I don't just put it down. I feel that the ROC-DS in a certain mentality will have a place. I think one of the biggest things that we really need to see, though, is it needs to realize its potential. I think if this thing had a trailer behind it, for example, and that was another thing that could differentiate it, it would suddenly become a lot less of a debate and more about what is your mining play style, how big is your mining operation, what exactly are you trying to do, or have it tie in some way to future. There will be refineries. We have heard for the Starfarer there will be a mineral mining refinery. It'll change order minerals. And we have heard that there is other refinery. There's going to be at least a small refinery ship in the works. And judging by everything that has to do with transport now has a tractor beam, there's a high chance it will have tractor beams. Or it can have a support ship next to it, a small ship with a tractor beam, or even just players using tractor beams. I could see a vehicle like this having some other tie-in. If you can't do a trailer, or if you can, either way, being able to tractor beam over the materials to a small ship or a vehicle that can kind of support this thing to interface with the ship, and having say three of these operate in a cave and constantly streaming in and out, and that travel time to get in and out of the cave and the extra storage space that this offers would become that much more lucrative when you're talking about extremely high value items that you don't want to be traveling back and forth into that cave constantly. And then the refinery can swing down once every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever, and collect from all three of the DSs, and then they zip back in. And the six-person team that's still in the DSs can go back in and continue their operations. And the refinery can be crunching the materials. And they said the refinery is going to be an entire gameplay experience. So there's going to be players that will certainly not be bored, because if they screw up, it will explode. So there's going to be a lot going on in the refineries. So I can see that they're in a larger operation that's still doing these lucrative, high risk, high reward mining operations that ships simply can't get to. I could see this thing having a place, but they got to figure out that turret seat, and they have to figure out one more little twist to help it truly get into its position where it really needs to be. And number two is a take on the Ranger series of vehicles in the game. So the Ranger is currently one of the more interesting vehicles for someone starting out because it's extremely attractive. It's a very reasonably priced vehicle within the realm of the modern pricing. When I first started the game, there was gray cat PTVs for $5 US. There was the equivalent in what they cost. Now they're up to 15 USD. The Ranger is an interesting vehicle when it's usable in game, and when it's available in game, I could see it being bought with UEC for very affordable rates. Cyclones, for example, are already pretty cheap. I think that this vehicle is not the vehicle I want, though. So the Ranger CV you see in front of you is still pretty dang big, even when it's kind of condensed. I am thinking of something a bit smaller with the same concept, where it has an area in the back for storage, maybe just one tiny little Pelican case or something small like that, or even just a rucksack attached to the back of the frame, and the player could add that if they wish after it's unpacked. I am picturing an electric bicycle, basically. Something extremely small, extremely lightweight. It's jet black, so if people are trying to use it for stealth missions, they can't wear it with heavy armor or anything like that. But with lighter gear, they should be able to use it. It'll just go a lot slower. And it has a specific range to it if, for balance reasons, they determine, look, this is too stealthy or something. I don't think it should have any headlights where you can turn the headlights on or off. And I think that it has a lot of interesting elements, both for combat gameplay, evading gameplay, for like industrial users to be able to just get away from a site quietly while they're under a raid. Also for players to just commute back and forth around a player outpost, and most importantly, for new players experiencing the game from the cockpit of a small ship, being able to land somewhere. Like New Babbage, for example, allows you to land almost anywhere, but there's only a couple places worth landing, because to walk anywhere there, you'll probably freeze to death by the time you get anywhere. I could see a small, foldable style, I'm going to use air quotes here, electric bicycle as being something that is what's exciting. The Nox, the Ranger, CV, they were close, but we need something a bit smaller that's a single user can use it, and it's basically they're everywhere. I think also we could have a few of these in specific locations where it makes sense, and maybe only two or three on these charging docks, where you can utilize them to get around And then if they're there long enough, an NPC comes along and puts them back, and maybe they charge a fee of 100 UEC or something like that to the player if they don't put it back on another charging dock. But I could see them being utilized in a lot of unique locations. And yes, I can see them being abused a little bit. There could be gradual fee increases and even banning from the system for using the rental ones by players that abuse them constantly. And I think that just keeping the number very, very, very small would help with that type of situation as well. Even just having two on docks or three, for example, like I mentioned. I also think you should be able to access them from Platinum Bay, even though that's not ideal, because those type of vehicles are more of the actual ground vehicles that are full size. But you can still bring out the motorcycles or the Dragonflies out of the Platinum Bay. And I think these bicycles would be another good option. And then have like a few rental ones next to the Platinum Bays at places it makes sense. So once again, I see these as an awesome kick around thing for players of any size ship. And it would be really cool to be able to experience the game with a new players as new players and have two folks rolling around on a Nomad, and on the back trunk area you've got two of these bicycles and then all your delivery boxes. And that's where I'm kind of going with this. The storage on the back needs to be modular, so you can take a single delivery box and put it onto the back of the bicycle. I think that would be the ultimate final addendum to that, because that would really help people truly make a profit with these things, and it would really give them something new. And there should be new player packs that are reduced price player packs during major events, and normally just normal price, where they can get a ship that gels well with delivery missions that also has one of these bicycles in that pack, and a good insurance plan for that. So that's just a thought I had for that one. And I think that would really help a lot of players out. And for number one is the Sindus. So the Gray Cat Sindus is something being designed for Squadron 42. And if you notice, I have a really weird screenshot here. This is a shot from Citizen Spotlight over on RSI, done by the 3D printer was Engineer. I'm going to include a link to his video where he presents this in full detail. But I thought this was pretty cool, and I used the shot directly from RSI's website under the Community Spotlight section, because that seems to be as official as possible, and I don't think I'm messing anything up, because I know there's some subscriber bonus content around this, and I want to make sure that I'm not using something that isn't public. So, the Sindus is an interesting creature. It's a single-seat quadped that is designed to mine. And I feel like this is the game changer that a lot of players that do not want to make the progression to a prospector, or do not want to make the jump even to a mole later on, the small and the medium class ships, could actually make the move to this unique vehicle. It's basically a miner, but at the same time, it can activate a lot of interesting things in people's minds. I could see a ship that's designed to carry half dozen of these things and deploy each one and say, look, get your quota full of the material in the back, and you'll get your food, drink, and pay for the day, and kind of have like these independent mining colonies operating the asteroid belt, and just absolutely full of these syndices. And I think we're going to have something like it. I don't know if this is the vision for the future, but at the very least, to me, it would be a very exciting mining vehicle to add to the game. And one of the first things I would do is try to drag this thing back to Earth, back to planet side and moon side, and try to see what we could get done with this thing. And I would love to see what one of these puppies would do to some of the moons, excavating rocks. And once again, back to planetary outpost type focus for existing players. I could see them operating these and having organizations that have in-game purchased a dozen of these things, and they're constantly issuing them out for people to go mine nearby from their base of operations, and be able to go make their profits that way, or be able to work towards the large projects that an organization will have. So it's a very exciting vehicle, and I can't wait to see it in Squadron 42, and I hope it makes its way to the PU, and it is something that is reasonably priced both out of game on the store and then also in game for purchase and rent. So we're small organizations, new players making their progression up can truly embrace it. And that's one of the reasons that I didn't rank further up the list, the ROC-DS, is because I had this in the back of my mind. So that'll do it for this short video. Please like, comment, subscribe if you just enjoyed this or it helped you out or it sparked ideas in your mind about what you would like to see in the game. And as always, if you're shy, I'm available on Discord, either at the group below or RedJ #0001. Have a safe day.